I was able to see what's happening. Now tomorrow, when there is a mobile device which is not within your control, accesses your mail but which is hosted on a cloud somewhere and sends mail, I mean, does that create some kind of discomfort that you are losing control, not so much from the politics of it, but from a security monitoring perspective?
Actually, it's the same topic. So earlier when, for example, when, I just remember the story, so I cannot vouch for the truth of it. Before banks opened the safe deposits, the money would be in the house and would be hidden somewhere. Now when banks open safe deposits and say, okay, you can put your money in the bank, then the people had a fear that it's out of sight, out of topic. So for me, the cloud is at the same journey. While there are risks, of course, it's, as I said, it's a pragmatic approach. You have to see what is the maximum damage that one can live with and get a feel for it, and then sort of take the leap. So for example, since you spoke of mailbox, we had a big debate last year on whether it's time for us to move to the Office 365 suite of products. We have a strong R&D, and there was always this R&D IP, and how do you do that? So we had a pragmatic approach. We said, okay, let R&D remain on premise. Everybody else moves on cloud, so we have a hybrid architecture. Not that on premise is the safest. Our argument was probably on premise may be more vulnerable than being on the cloud from from a different perspective. So it needs a pragmatic approach, I would say. And for example, one risk, of course, is the legal risk, but the other is also, and from a product perspective, even more important, or not even more important, but equally important would be the operational risks. For example, the video which Ajit showed, maintenance. Now just assume, for example, that it was a production equipment. And we have in Bajaj also actually a live case where we are saying we will allow the equipment to be controlled from remote places through whatever device he needs. So it's not necessarily mobile in that sense, but it can be controlled from any device. The intention, of course, is very noble, to ensure that if there is anything to be done, as we saw in the video, people are able to access and control and rectify things. But just imagine a hacker gets into it and he changes the tolerance of let's say a machine which is doing turning, and instead of 0.3 he makes it 0.6 and 0.7. Nobody realizes it, assume. Now the whole topic is because the rate of production is so fast, it can go undetected into production, and then you may end up in a product liability topic. So the risk from an operational perspective, the moment we talk of Internet of Things, the moment we talk of connected devices and equipments, at the end, of course, it does point to a financial and legal risk, but the dots are far away. And it's important for CIOs and CTOs to be able to assess and take, in my view, a balanced approach to deploying these technologies.
You talked about the hybrid approach, and this is where I think many of our customers, or even we as an organization, are getting into that route, where it's more of a balanced approach at this point of time. Eventually, I personally feel that we will get more and more into, for example, in case of cloud, public cloud. Imagine no one would have thought like 5 years back that you will have entire sales data, on one of the CRM solutions, and no one would have agreed that that is the best from the security standpoint, but that's the reality today in the world. So obviously we have to take currently maybe the hybrid approach at this point of time, and as the industry really matures in all these aspects, sure, then we have to take it forward. Now another interesting point is that, do we really think that we have the enterprise data really within our enterprise today? That's the biggest question that every enterprise has to ask. For example, you will find that rest of the data, I mean, earlier it was the case when everything was well controlled and everyone was not connected. You have a strong belief that you have everything that you have required is in your enterprises. Imagine with the social networks what is happening. You don't know what others are saying about your product or about any information that is being put on social platforms. So it is really a myth if you are under the impression that you own the entire enterprise data in your data center.
So that reminds me of a very nice quote. It's in the public domain, and it's authentic because that's made by the director of the FBI. He said there are two kinds of big organizations in the United States: those that have been hacked by the Chinese, and those who do not know they have been hacked by the Chinese.
I just have one quick comment, based on what you mentioned, is currently when we look at the liabilities, it's no longer territorial. Because where is the cloud, where is it connected, you actually may be sitting here delivering something to your customers, but because of something happening in your system, you are actually getting, liability outside of India as well. So, when you're creating all this maze, please be aware that where all am I creating liability for myself. So I thought I should just point that out as well.
So I think we'll honor the time, and I know when you said 4, you understood that it might go off till 5 minutes past 4. So I take that liberty for 5 more minutes. There's nothing more sinful than leaving a debate open. We talked about what is the scenario, what are the risks, how are we evolving, but we also need to reach a conclusion as to, in today's scenario, with whatever limitations, what are the best controls that we can put so that we are reasonably secure. So as a security professional myself, I believe that certain technologies related to data rights, digital rights management, information rights management, or encryption, they are going to be the gold standard as we move forward, and which are going to be really mandatory. So from a security perspective, does the panel have any views on what are the technology solutions? And being technology professionals, please feel free to use acronyms and jargon, because that will cut down the session time.
So I think let's start with acronyms. So MDMs are there, and that has been, I would think that is the first good step that industry has taken, which ensures that, because the biggest risk, not just the information is there in the device, but if the device get lost, and how you are going to wipe out the data, which is critical for your business, that's one of the immediate concern that would come to anyone's mind. And I think MDM solutions take care of most of such issues. Encryption has to play a big role. At the same time, we have to look at the overall architecture, as I've been saying, because that is where you can really take a decision where you would like to reside your data. I mean, as far as possible, I would say that if it is encrypted and it is over the wire for the temporary consumption of that data, then that is the best way to go.
So adding on to that, I would also rate identity is a key topic, and now identity goes beyond an individual to also a combination of an individual and in case a device, if we go into that sphere. And so
I guess more and more of intelligence has to be put into the security. One is data encryption, one is authentication, as he said, and how you can relate a contextual information about data along with the architecture that you are putting in. So whether if I'm ordering a book for cocktails and mocktails, is it meaning that I'm doing identity theft because I would myself never go and buy it? But no, in the changing scenario, I may be buying it for as a gift for somebody. So contextual information is going, and machine learning or deep learning, what we call about, is going to get more and more aggressively used in the security systems also.
I'm not a technologist here, so I would just try to say that keep it simple.
Great. So, to sum it up, the way probably the entire panel sees it, and please raise your hands if there are you disagree to a serious extent. There can be minor variations though. Mobility today is no longer a go no go scenario. To give you an example, laptops took about 10 years to surpass the number of desktops in the world. Tablets did that in 3 years. So today you don't have a choice. You are not the high priest who can tell what the world is going to do. You better be in step and protect whatever the world is going to do. That is the message. And to do that, first know yourself. As you know, Salvador Dali supposedly said, the only difference between a madman and me is that the madman thinks that he is sane. So first know yourself, and then do the risk assessment. Accept the extent of imperfection that exists. If you believe that the world is a perfect place and go with your initiatives, there is bound to be disappointment and failure. So accept the extent of disappointment you can take. Embrace it, adopt it, and use all the technology at your command to secure it. So thank you, Isaca. Thank you, panelists, for a great time. Thank you.
We have chosen Sandeep because he not only invokes the thoughts among the panelists but also among us, and keep the subject open in our thoughts. So I would like to call upon stage Mr. Vijay Bhadrao, who is one of our board member, to felicitate all the panelists. We have interesting event coming after this felicitation, so be here. We are not immediately breaking for the tea.
It's more interesting than the felicitation, okay?
Okay, so going with the order, I invited the speakers. So Ajit Petkar, CIO and CTO Zinsar. And we have Rajiv Jorarpur for CIO Bajaj Auto. And we have Tejal Bonekar, Director R&D Tech Mahindra. We have Sandeep Godbole, Deputy General Manager, Information Security, Sintel.
In Marathi, this is called Gharcha Aher.
घरची शाल आणि आहेर.
जोडी नाही आहे ना?
शाल जोडी नाही.
Thank you.
And of course, many thanks, Gauri, for staying back for this session as well after conducting your first session as a panel conductor. So before we break for a tea, we have the MIT students who would like to present something for us around their exercise, what they are going to do, and demonstration what they are going to do around the robotics. So I would like to call upon stage Siddharth from MIT, who will have 5 minutes of video along with the presentation, and then we can break for a tea where they can show us a demonstration.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, I'm Prabodh.
And I am Siddhan. We are from MIT Tech Team. Robocon is an international level robotic competition organized by Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union. This competition aims to create friendship and knowledge sharing among young people, as well as help advance engineering and broadcasting technologies in participating countries. Every year in the month of August, 22 champion teams from their respective countries participate in this fierce and one-of-a-kind event. MIT Tech Team began its journey 10 years ago in 2005. Since then, MIT has represented India 4 times at the international event and has won laurels for our country. In 2012, Team India defeated the all-time champion Team China and ranked 5th at the internationals, the highest achieved by any Indian team so far. Our aim is to win India the international Robocon. Hence, we continuously strive for achieving this Herculean task by constantly upgrading and developing new cutting-edge technologies in order to face international giants like Japan and China.
This is our basic methodology. Now, time management is our top priority. Every student gives around 16 hours a day to the lab, and this goes up to 18 to 20 hours in the last month. Now, after the theme is released in August, we hold constant brainstorming sessions. Here we try to collect as many ideas as possible. This includes mechanisms, strategies, and loopholes in the theme. Our exams are in the month of October and November, and before this, we try to finalize our strategy and shortlist our mechanisms. During the exam time, we work towards material procurement so that when we come back, everything is ready. Our basic prototype is ready in the last week of December, and the final robot is ready in mid-Jan. After this, we only hold practice runs. The reason MIT Tech team is able to perform so well is because of our three main strengths. This is navigation, fabrication, and our electronic system. These techniques have been steadily developed through the years, with each batch passing on their knowledge and experience to their juniors. This is a basic navigation.